Jonah.
Guys, we just got back from kind of a roller coaster of a day. Our friend just got admitted to the hospital, and I'm gonna back it up a couple steps. A couple days ago, our friend Jonah, he gets to this point during the day where he's like cracked out, and he's like ready to do some stupid shit. Like, he's from California, so I assume he's on a whole nother drug constantly.
Yeah, we went to the parade the other day, and he's just on the sideline just going, gotta make something happen. Gotta make something. This is boring. Come on, dude. Let me do something.
Fucking do something.
And we were like, the parade hasn't started yet, Jonah.
So he presented the idea of jumping off.
Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the bell notification to get notified about new posts and to help the channel grow.
Jumping over something with like a bike. So I'm like, that's great. That's hilarious. That's hysterical. So we did it with a bike, and then we did it with a fully gas powered
Into the pool.
Moped.
You didn't say into the pool.
Into the pool, into the pool.
So what was the first stunt you did?
And the first stunt, it was just a couple boxes he had to jump over, and he had to jump over the boxes and into the pool on a bicycle.
On like a skateboard ramp.
On a skateboard ramp, on a bicycle. It was just a regular BMX bike.
And even that, I was like, huh.
Yeah.
That could go wrong.
And he got that done. It was pretty impressive. He got it done twice. We actually did it twice.
Yeah.
And each time he killed it.
Yeah, the only thing is it's at the pool, if you can imagine it, there's a cement fence on one side of the pool. So there's literally no space.
And he was jumping into the pool the width, not the length of the pool.
Yeah.
So he didn't have much space to jump into the pool. He had to like be very...
And let's be honest, Jonah takes up a lot of space.
Yeah, so we had to be careful. And then we were done with the bike, and it got to the point where he was still down to do the moped thing, and it took about 45 minutes of him sitting on the bike, and we were just like, okay, he doesn't want to do it. He's not doing it. We gave up on it.
And Brandon trying to talk him out of it.
Brandon talked him out of it, and we're just like, okay, fine, we're not doing it. So we had an idea after he got off the bike. It was getting real dark out. We were like, we bought this moped for this specific reason. So we asked him, you just want to drive it into the pool? And he's like, nah, fuck that shit. Let's go. Right. He got really amped up like last second. And he's like, fuck it. I'm doing the shit. I'm like, what? And he's like, I'm going to do it. I'm like, okay. So he kept the ramp in place. He gunned it. And he fucking flew. I mean, we had no idea that this ramp was even going to be able to support him or be able to launch a moped, like a fully gas-powered,
500-pound
street
moped
legal like moped
that Scott couldn't even pick up.
And it just flew, and it flew so far that his body hit the corner of the pool, and it didn't, at first it didn't look bad because he got right up on his feet.
When he launched off the bike,
I
was like, oh, he's dead.
He was in midair.
But then he came down really quickly.
He came down hard.
And David put a lawn chair mat on the small cement space that was between the wall and the pool where you can
tell what kind of a roller coaster this day was just by the tone we're speaking.
I'm exhausted.
It's been a hell.
It was up and down. It was
adrenaline.
Brandon talking him
was
down for
leaving.
45 minutes. It was me calling it off and then getting him off the bike.
It was a mess. Okay, and then it's
getting dark.
Yeah, it's getting dark. Yeah, he lands the stunt, whatever. He comes out of the pool. He's just completely quiet. We don't know what's going on. We're all excited because he's alive and he's walking. And then he lifts up his shirt, and we see like a little bit of a puncture, like maybe like a bullet, basically like a bullet wound,
Like a bullet-sized wound.
It was like a bullet-sized wound, and he starts bleeding from it, and he says he's okay. It keeps bleeding. It doesn't stop bleeding. So we're like, okay, he needs stitches. And it's not like it wasn't. He was very quiet, and it was very unlike him. We were like, okay, what's going on? We're stressed out because you're not talking. So we decided to go to the ER. And in my vlog, if you watched my video where this happened, it didn't seem as serious at all as it turned out to be. It was actually a couple months ago, I did it with my hand where I cut my hand open and we had to go to the ER, and I made a big thing out of it going to the ER, and I showed the stitches and I showed everything, and it looked really bad. When in reality, this was a lot worse than
You think so?
Than my hand situation.
Because I thought your hand situation was awful.
My hand situation was
that
awful.
cut was so deep.
But what you didn't see is in the video is when we got to the ER, when they took him into the room and they had a nurse look at it, she immediately called in another nurse and then another nurse
At the puncture.
Yeah, at the puncture. Because it was in a very bad spot. It was right by his spleen, right by his kidney. It was in a very dangerous spot. And then the main.
And what happened? What made the puncture?
We don't know. It was either him hitting the side of the pool or it was him hitting the brake on the moped.
It looks like it's the brake.
And I think the brake of the moped went inside his body, and and just more doctors kept coming over. And they kept asking us, when did it happen? When did it happen? And we're like, it happened about an hour and a half ago. And they're like, okay, the internal bleeding must not be that bad because he would have passed away about 30 minutes ago. Like, it was really bad.
Wow.
Like, it was bad. Like he would have been dead by now if it was any worse. And
I didn't think it was that bad because I went and edited my vlog and ate Cheetos.
Yeah. I didn't think it was bad either. And then he took some CT scans. And they took some CT scans, and they took a what do you call it when a baby when you're
X-ray?
No, when you're
ultrasound.
Ultrasound. They took an ultrasound. They couldn't find any fluids in the body. And
what does that mean?
Like there was no
any fluids.
There was no internal bleeding.
Oh, okay.
He was drained of all blood.
He turned into a vampire.
No, but then they got him tested. They took him into a room. And we were waiting for the response from the doctor, and we're like, they said that they want to take him to the trauma center. Oh. So they were going to put him in the ambulance and take him over to the trauma center because they were very scared that this was a very life-threatening injury. And I kept asking, like I was joking with the nurses, and I'm like, so is he going to make it? Yeah. And they literally responded, they're like, we hope so. We're going to do our best, and we don't see why we couldn't hope for the best right now.
I don't understand. It was such a little wound.
It was
if
such a wound.
If they said that he would have died already, then he's fine.
The first hour is like the golden hour, they refer to it, and then they had to do some extra scans to see if the wound was like punctured inside and if there's going to be internal bleeding. And I asked the doctor, I'm like, what are the chances of him going to the trauma center right now for surgery? And he said it's 50-50. Wow. So we were waiting for 25 minutes for results for it to be 50-50. And then we got the results. Turns out it was good. It came back negative. There's no internal bleeding. There's no puncture that they saw.
So if you puncture your spleen, that like poisons your whole body.
It's internal bleeding. You could die. Wow. So he would have needed immediate surgery, rushed with an ambulance to the different facility. And it and then he's ready. They're like, okay, we're gonna be able to send him home in an hour, but his heart rate wouldn't go down. So they decided to keep him there overnight. So right now, as we're recording this podcast, he is inside the hospital room right now.
Yeah, with his family. And David was editing the vlog as Jonah was eating ice chips.
Yeah.
With a huge fucking smile on his face.
He
was like so proud of himself. I walked in and he was like, "That shit was gangster, yo." he's like, "Yo, I walked in here a loser. I'm walking out a thug."
No, he really.
And he was already checking his Snapchat for girls. There were girls like, oh, he's like, "Yo, Jason, look at this, dog. Look at this. Look at all these girls. Look at all these chicks hitting me up already. They want to know if I'm okay."
It was a very stupid mistake, but he's very happy with the outcome, and it's a big lesson. We should be a little more careful when it comes to these things. But dude, he got really lucky. Like the doctors were like, listen, you cannot do. I showed him the video. I showed all of the doctors the videos, and
you did.
As funny as they thought it was, like they chuckled a little bit, but then they were like, that's very, very serious. Like just seeing that video is one of the reasons why we need to keep you in the hospital, because that's just a very
because you all are fucking nuts. And we don't want him to do it again.
And then we got to the hospital, and you were there when they were asking him all the questions. They went through a series of like 100 questions. They're like,
the questions were insane.
The questions were fucking nuts.
Some of them made sense. Like, is anyone abusing you right now? Do you take drugs and alcohol? And then some of them got weirder. Like, who do you live with? Do those people talk to you?
Are you scared of going home right now?
Yeah.
Are people coming to visit you that you like? Or do you ever feel pressured in certain situations?
he goes, what, do you have any cultural traditions? And Jonah goes, comedy.
And she's like, is that a cultural? She's like, is that a cultural tradition? And he's like, it is where I'm from. Jonah's really into, but yeah, that's it. Long story short, we're hoping he's gonna be okay. He's in the hospital right now. They're monitoring for another night, but it could have been really bad. It was very bad, and in my video, it doesn't do justice of how scary it was. It was terrible.
It was awful.
It was the scariest incident yet.